Good evening, ma'am. It is now 6:25 on Wednesday, November 29th, 2023. I call this meeting to order the Bond Oversight Committee. So, may the members of the committee that are present, please state your name for the record.
Fred Villarreal.
Erasmo Villarreal.
Joe Lopez.
And I'm Minnie-Dora Bunn-Haynes. Thank you, we have a quorum. Did anybody sign up for public comments? Thank you. Now, we have some informational items. The 2013 Bond Construction Program update. Ms. Benavides?
Yes, good evening, members of the Bond Advisory Committee. I'd like to welcome y'all back. I know we haven't met since June 2022, and I do appreciate your service to our students and to our community. It's just amazing that, you know, we passed this bond election 10 years ago.
Wow.
And here we are 10 years later, and Ms. Haynes and I had a discussion earlier today, and we just, you know, we're just very grateful, and I'd like to pass that gratitude from the board to you all for serving on this committee. This is going to be one of the last projects that we're going to award. We're towards the end of the bond plan, the bond program. But we did want to share with you our gratitude for all those months. I know at the very beginning, it was like a meeting every month. And now, like the last month we had was the last meeting we had was a year and a half ago. So I do appreciate y'all being here this evening. But I'll turn it over to Ignacio Alanis.
Thank you. Welcome back. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the Bond Oversight Committee, Administration, Legal Counsel, and members of the audience. Ignacio Alanis, Director of Construction Management, presenting 2013 Bond Program Construction Project Summary Report and the project consultants that will provide construction project updates of the remaining 2013 Bond Program projects. Okay, going on to the summary. The first project that we'll be presenting tonight will be the Juan Roberto Ramirez Middle School. The contractor is Leyendecker Construction. Start date was June 3rd, 2021, and we're looking at substantial completion for July 15, 2024. We're approximately at 78% completion on this project. The second project to report, the new Clark Elementary School, also by Leyendecker. Start date was March 1st, 2022, and we have a July 15, 2024, similar to the Juan Roberto Ramirez Middle School substantial completion date, and that one's approximately 76% complete. The various building renovations at Ruiz Elementary School. The general contractor is Quantum Construction, and May 24, 2023 was their start date, and we're looking at a January 15, 2024 completion date. Though the percent completion seems at the mid-range, pay application we based this off was last month, so they have done significant work since then. And the final project that we have is the Arqueros Boulevard 90-foot right-of-way extension. On that one, it's Leyendecker Construction. Start date was October 20th, 2022, and substantial completion January 15, 2024. That one is showing the 58%, but to note, we have an additional time extension request due to inclement weather we've had this past month forthcoming. So that's a summary report. Now I'll be presenting the projects and the consultants that will be presenting tonight on their project. Juan Roberto Ramirez Middle School, the consultant for that project is Alta Architects. And Mr. Randy Hollis, the architect of record, is here to make that presentation. We have the new Clark Elementary School project designed by Juan Homero Sanchez Architects and Metaform Studio Architects. Mr. Juan Homero Sanchez and Mr. Ed Quiroga are present as well to make that presentation. The third project is the various building renovations at Ruiz Elementary School. That's Cavazos Architects. We have Mr. Guillermo Cavazos, Mr. Sergio Vela, present to make that presentation. And the final project for tonight is the Arqueros Boulevard 90-foot right-of-way extension. That is by KCI Engineers and Mr. Andres Rubio is here as well to make that presentation. So I'll be turning over the presentations to these gentlemen. And if there's any questions, I will be happy to answer. Thank you.
Good evening, Ms. Haynes and members of the committee. Randy Hollis with Alta Architects. Want to recognize we're going to be talking about Ramirez Middle School. And I just want to recognize our partner architects here, Juan Amiro Sanchez and Ed Quiroga, which are back there. So as we're saying, we're past the three-quarter mark in the construction. There were time extensions due to some weather and site conditions. As you know, the street there for Aquero Boulevard was being completed, so there's a lot of interface back and forth to work that out in terms of timing on the project. So we are moving forward on the completion date. We feel that the progress has been satisfactory as we go. Site work is still underway. Bus Loop Road is being installed, so it's been graded out, starting to put in concrete, et cetera. We want to keep going on this.
Oops, sorry. Let's see if I can put it. A little
Okay.
rusty.
There we go. Perfect. Okay, so as you can see, we're not totally dried in, meaning the roofs are not over the whole building, but we have four areas of the building. And I do want to recognize, Memo Cavazos, who's our partner architect on this one. I thought we were talking about United South. Okay, so anyway, the roof, as you can see, the roof hasn't been dried in completely for all parts of the building, but underneath the roofs there's work continuing for electrical and finish out of the spaces, laying mechanical ductwork and such. The exterior brickwork is still underway, so we're pleased about the quality of the work. And as you can see, it's going to have similar colors to one of our other middle schools. The difference will be the red color of the roofing there. But that's all proceeding in place and as expected. And there's also going to be windows are still to be installed on this, and you can see some of the detailed site work, which is very pleased with. The layers, the insulation under the brick there is exposed as the brickwork's going on, and this is one of the areas where the joists have been laid, but the roofing has not been applied yet. So progress has been satisfactory. You can see some of the interior work happening with mechanical, HVAC, electrical going in inside classrooms and down hallways. So all of that infrastructure that's above the ceiling gets placed right now at this point. And there's a view of restrooms, the toilet partitions in the restrooms that have been set up. So those will be covered in tile when they're finished. So that's the report on the project, and we're satisfied with the state of the construction where it is.
So just to remind the committee, we had 3 middle schools in this bond program, and we used a prototype.
It's a prototype.
Yes,
Correct.
and, but they all have their own personality with their own colors
Right.
and their mascots. So we're actually about to do a boundary meeting tomorrow with the parents in that area, in the Mines Road area. This will bring relief to Washington Middle that has over 1,000 children there in that school. Right now, we have 20 portable classrooms or 10 buildings that are all being used right now. So we're looking forward to splitting up the population there and putting our kids into this new building, so.
For the 2024 school year.
For the 2024 school year, right?
That's right. That is correct.
So all this hopefully will be completed by then, yes, yeah. So we're actually having that meeting tomorrow night at Washington Middle with those parents who are going to be affected.
Good.
Let me
Thank you.
ask y'all a question. The 427 time extension days, is that part of pandemic, rain, all of the above?
Well, so pandemic effects were part of that, getting delivery. That's back when we had supply chain issues going on. So there were impacts for like electrical transformers and such that causing delays. A big part of that also.
And
So-
did you find those?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Because they still haven't found them in a lot of areas, right?
Yeah, it's hard to get. If you haven't had an order way in the queue already,
And that's statewide, right?
that's statewide. That's practically every project we're working on, San Antonio, Dallas, wherever. Yes.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you for your presentation.
Well, luckily, it wasn't needed until the 2024 school year.
Yes.
I know it. Bond program financial report, please.
No, we're
No, the
going
Clark-
to
Clark. New Clark Elementary School.
Elementary School.
Clark, sorry, guys.
That's fine.
My-
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Juan Romero Sanchez with JHS Architect and my partner Eddie Quiroga, our project administrators. We're going to present a brief update on Clark Elementary, the new Clark Elementary School. The progress today is about 76%. And we do have some extensions also. Part of it related, as you know, again, as Randy had mentioned earlier, but in this particular case at Clark, we had a lot of issues with soils. So there was a lot of delays in having to find out to remove and replace a lot of soil in that area to bring the project up to the required elevations and compaction. So that took quite a bit. That was a change order that was done, it has already been approved. And so our completion date, substantial completion as of today is still July of ’24.
Yes. Hopefully, again, for next school year.
Yeah.
Yes. You want me to go to the pictures?
Sure. The exterior work is ongoing. It involves paving, concrete paving for parking, also sidewalks and approaches to the buildings. The exterior, as you can see, we do have a lot of the brick veneers going up. The interior work includes tile work. There's some areas of the building that have not completely been dried in. We do have exposed structure in some portions. That'll be closing up probably this month or before the end of the year. You can see still some of the steel framing without the roof, that's ongoing. Major work is actually the masonry. And until we completely dry it in, we'll be doing more the finish work at the beginning of the year, I expect. Like I said, mostly paving, priming in the dried-in areas, portions of the building that can be painted and primed as far as finishes go. And basically, that's windows have been in place also.
Yes.
And that's all. Be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
That looks good.
So I think y'all can remember that we had, I think, six elementaries prototype that we started from the very first Vets Elementary.
This would be the sixth one.
Right,
Yeah.
the six with the same layout and, of course, accommodated to the site itself. But I think the elementary prototype that we've been using has been very functional. I think our elementary principals are very pleased with the functionality of those buildings. So we're pleased that we were able to use the prototype in this program.
Clark is a little smaller than the first five, so it was a little
I
more
remember that
compact.
because of the
Yes.
population of
Yeah, the
Well, I think
population
also
there.
that by having the school further back, you've got more area for queuing cars in there, which was always an issue there on Hillside.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is going to be a big, help to that whole area. Yeah.
Correct.
Yes. We were
Madam
fortunate
Chair, I
we
have a
had that
question.
land behind
Yeah.
Clark Middle, and that we were able to utilize that. And the plans is to keep Old Clark Elementary, probably to repurpose it for departments that service our families. That's kind of the initial plans right now. Of course, we need to sit together as administration and the board and decide how we're going to use that building. But I think it'll be very useful. It's right off of Hillside, very visible to the public. And I don't know if you've been to the back of central office, we have many portables back here also. And those are the departments we're thinking of maybe moving to the old Clark Elementary, so.
Good.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening to the committee members. Thank you all for your time. I'm Memo Cavazos with Cavazos Architects. This is Sergio Vela. He's an architect that's managing the project. This is the various building renovations at Ruiz Elementary School. And this is a project that is occurring in 5 phases. And we are currently in the final 4th and 5th phase of the project. The project's scheduled to be completed on the 15th of January. Yes, okay, so I added some pictures to the slides, so they won't match your hard copies there. I apologize. But if you look up at the screen, that you'll probably get a little better idea of what's going on. Phase 1 was to convert 2 classrooms into an SLC unit, which has already been completed, as you can see by the photos. Turned out very nice. And if you go to the next
Okay.
page, at the top, you can see that that's the restroom in the self-contained unit. Phase 2 was boys and girls restrooms on the south end of the school. Those got completely renovated, all the finishes, all the fixtures, accessories, and what have you, made it ADA compliant. That's completed. You can see that in the photos there. Phase 3 was to renovate 13 individual single-user restrooms in the pre-K and kindergarten area for the little kids. And so those little restroom units got renovated, new fixtures, new lights, new exhaust, etc. And phase 4, which is going on right now, they're converting 2 classrooms into a science lab. That's already towards the tail end. They're putting in the finishes this week, so that should be wrapping up soon. And then there's another pair of boys and girls restrooms at the north end of the school, similar to the ones that have already been redone. Those are going to get renovated, and that's currently in the demolition phase. But it looks like it's on schedule, so should be done by mid-January. Do you all have any questions?
I think it looks good. Mid-January.
Yes.
What was the initial, Madam Chair, if I may, the initial project cost, or I guess projected estimated cost versus what actually got awarded to the GC? Final contract.
It was lower, off the top of my head. I don't
I think,
have that.
We can discuss that in the financial report.
Oh, sure.
We have Reese Elementary outlined there, the 3 projects that got awarded, not awarded, but remember we were going to replace Salinas Elementary, and then our board asked if we could come to y'all and say, can we repurpose these funds for some other projects at United
Yeah, I
South
was
High
just
School?
curious versus if there was an opinion of follow costs versus what the final outcome was. I actually had the same question for Mr. Sanchez and Mr. Quiroga on the Clark project. Just curious about that, the turnout, how that turned out.
I think our opinion on this one was pretty close.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Good evening, members of the committee. My name is Andres Rubio with KCI. We're the engineers of record. I'm going to be presenting the Aquero Boulevard 90-foot right-of-way extension. Or just a progress update. Construction to date it says 58%, but that was based on a previous pay app. We're closer to 65% at the moment. There has been some time extensions, and we're expecting another extension due to like Mr. Anis was saying, some inclement weather and some coordination issues. So just it's a side location in case you guys don't know. It's basically this is a right-of-way extension of the existing Aquero Boulevard, which is going to serve the school, Juan Roberto Ramirez Middle School. That's pretty much the layout. It's going to be 5 lanes and then taper down to 3 lanes, which will have a dedicated right-turning lane into the school. And then further down, north, I guess, yeah, further down and going up, it's going to taper down to two lanes.
Over here.
Yes, closer up the page.
And this is where we expect our
Those are-
teachers or faculty?
There's 3 driveways to the school. And yeah, that is for the
Yeah, that'd probably be better.
okay, so yeah, so like I said, it's gonna be 5 lanes here, pretty much mirroring whatever's on this side, and then taper down to 3 lanes with right turning lane for the school. Later, I mean, this is just I guess phase 1 of this road, and it was designed for future expansion of the road, but that's going to be done by the City of Laredo in the future, in case that's ever needed whenever this site is developed. And I guess a bridge constructed here. There's a huge drop down here.
Huge creek.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, that's pretty much the creek up there. So as what I understand, this is the bus loop right here. They enter through here, they come out through here. But again, I guess I'm gonna focus on the road. We have a 12-foot shared use paths on both sides of the street. Basically 6 foot dedicated for pedestrians and 6 feet dedicated for bike lanes. That's gonna be on both sides. And then all this, there's a buffer in between the curb and that sidewalk. It was basically gonna be landscaping on both sides.
Let me ask you, on the bike lanes, is there some kind of a concrete separation from the actual traveling lanes, or is it all just striped?
It's gonna be, well, from the road?
Yeah.
Or- Yeah, from the
On
road,
the actual road.
there is a buffer, like a 4 to 5 foot buffer from the road. So I don't know if you can see it more or
Okay,
less.
so that buffer is what?
That's gonna be
Okay, yeah, yeah,
landscaping,
Just landscape?
Yes.
Okay,
so trees and
okay.
grass. And, yeah, pretty much it was 90-foot right away, but then the city asked for the school to dedicate another 100 feet so we can fit all this in there, which is the 12-foot lanes, 12-foot shared use paths, and then the whole width of the road. So that's what you see here. So it's 100-foot right-of-way dedication.
What is the size of your travel lane?
It's 11 feet, 11-foot lanes. It's 5 lanes here, and then again, it tapers down to 3, and then 2. Approximately, it's approximately 1,200 feet in length up to that point. I don't know if you want to go to, or any
Oh,
any
sorry.
questions, I'm sorry.
Progress report?
So right now, all the utilities have been installed. Pretty much the base, caliche, and the curb and gutter are already placed. The contractor's working on the subgrade and the base for the shared use paths and the driveways, which are going to be made out of concrete into the school. There's been coordination with the site civil from the school and we'll site with them so we can match the grades and elevations. We're also coordinating with the AEP. There's going to be I don't know if you want to go back real quick.
Okay.
There's going to be overhead electric coming from a 3-phase line that's here, all maybe up to this point, and then everything else is going to be underground. And we're going to have steel poles here, and then concrete light poles staggered along the road.
So what do you think your completion date will be on that?
We have a substantial completion date on January 16th. I don't think we're going to meet that deadline due to the weather and delays and stuff. So I'll probably add like 2 more months after
Two more
that
months?
date.
Spring break.
Spring break. Good
Your-
weather.
Your street.
That's the worst weather.
Your street construction standard, which standard are you using? Are you using the residential or are you using commercial?
This is, believe it's a boulevard, but it was designed for a minor arterial, I guess. So it's a 2 million easel design.
So your asphalt's what, 1.5 inches?
It is more than, I actually brought the plans because it's,
I think we got it in right before the city updated their street plan or something, like we just got in there or something. For the minor arteriary or something.
we're using
Yeah.
4.5 inches of asphalt.
Okay, so it's.
Yes, it's going to be there
Heavy
for
duty.
for a while.
Heavy duty.
Caliche also.
Yeah, with the, what is your base?
The base, we have 14 inches of caliche.
Okay, it's
Heavy duty.
heavy duty.
There'll be a lot of traffic on that.
Well, that's why I was
Yeah.
asking him what
Yeah,
design they were
once it's
using because.
extended,
Yeah,
it will
Full
be a
There's a lot of bus traffic
and,
that's gonna go in there.
Buses, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I have some photos there.
Some photos.
So
just-
this is so far what I was saying. I mean, they already placed the caliche around the room. We have the curb and gutter. You can see it here. All the utilities are in place. There's just a picture of, I guess, they're installing some conduits for irrigation. That's going to be a driveway there. So this is just some additional pictures so you can see the road in relation to the school. And this is the electrical for, the trenching for the electrical for the light poles, and those are where the meters are going to be, for irrigation, domestic. And some more pictures just showing the road and the base.
Oops, sorry.
That's it.
Yeah.
That looks good.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bond program financial report. Mrs. Benavides?
Okay, we just wanted to, I don't know if you recall, back in 2014, when we started having our first meetings, this report that I'm about to show you had a lot of zeros in it. But now, what we did, Sam and I talked about this, there's just a lot of numbers on this report, but we wanted to focus on tonight's project, which is United South High School. And this was one of the projects that our board members had asked. It's a fine arts building, relocating ROTC. We'll have a presentation. But we did set aside $10 million for this project. United South Middle School, it's science labs, it's $1 million. And the Reese Elementary, we had budgeted $1 million. And you'll see that the amounts that have been expended to date is $741,000, and still encumbered is $258,000. So it was pretty close, to, I think, I can't do math in my head, but it's about $1 million, right? So I think we tried to stay within budget on that item, on that, the work there at Reese Elementary. And I need to compliment the contractors and architects because it is the hardest thing to do renovations while school's going on, but they worked very closely with our campus principal there. And she was ecstatic that we were making these renovations, but everybody's been a good sport about it, so it's worked out well. So that is our construction report at this time. Again, remember, I don't know if y'all recall all the zeros. Well, pretty much this is it. This is the last project that we'll be awarding, but we'll talk about future meetings in the open agenda. But I think that's it for the report, unless y'all have any specific questions.
be items for consideration. Discuss it and possible action to recommend to the Board of Trustees approval of CSP 02-2023 United South High School additions and renovations.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the audience, Bond Oversight Committee. Good evening, Ms. Morales, Ms. Benavides, Legal Counsel. For the record, my name is Karina Mendoza. I am the Purchasing Manager. And administration is recommending approval of CSP 022-2023 United South High School additions and renovations in the amount of $16,988,000 even, which includes a $1,105,000 even in contingencies to Lion Decker Construction of Texas. If I may, I do want to note that this project was out for about a month and 6 days on the streets. We did have a pre-proposer meeting at our office on 3501 East Saunders, where we did have the presence of different contractors, our architects and subcontractors. We also held a virtual meeting as well. And at the end, when the due date was done, we received one bid. And this is the one that we're recommending. Do you have any questions?
And the additions and renovations include?
The additions and renovations for United South High School includes various different renovations. We're talking about an ROTC project, a greenhouse. There's an array. I know there's going to be a presentation up to this by our architect of record that will go into detail.
Okay.
Yes. It'll actually, the architect will make a presentation of exactly what's in this CSP, the different.
It's beautiful. It's a fine arts building. It's really, really nice.
Let me ask you, in terms of the bid that came in and the budget, is that within budget?
Well,
I mean, because I think it was 10 million that was budgeted, right?
yes, and I think y'all have realized the inflation factor. Even, looking back at what we paid to build the Alexander building, the Fine Arts building there, that was probably, I think, 5 or 6 years ago. And Mr. Rangel and I had this really big discussion about inflation, and it's just, I think we were fortunate that the bulk of our bond program happened when it did, because I want to say probably the last 3 years, and it probably is tied to the pandemic, that we have seen escalation in prices, just trying to, again, award and just complete what we told our public that we were going to complete. And so in talking to Mr. Flores and our finance area, we were like, okay, how are we going to make up this $6-7 million deficit? And our plans are to propose to our board that we would set aside funds for the next 3 years. We were told that it's going to be about a 3-year project. And we're going to use the 10 million from the bonds, but we'll use, $2.5 million the next couple of years. We received Webb County School Land funds that we actually used to build the pool. It's been a misled idea out there that we use bond money for the pool, and we didn't. We used general fund money and Webb County School Land money. It was the board's decision to earmark that money for the aquatic center that we built at the SAC. So now that that is built and that is fully paid for, we're going to recommend to the board to set aside those funds that we get annually to finish building this project. And we feel we owe it to the kids there at United South High School.
Makes
So,
sense.
yes.
Makes
yeah,
sense.
Yes.
It's a beautiful building. It will be.
Yes.
So you said it's a 3-year project?
It's about a 3-year project.
3-year
Yes,
project?
there's a 2-phase project. So the first phase is from February the 5th, 2024 through August 5th, 2024, and phase 2 starts right away on August 2024 through June 30th, 2026, with the final completion date of July 31st, 2026.
2026, yes.
Perfect.
Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
Would it be out of order for us to see the presentation from the architect so that we know what we're voting on before we call for the vote?
Can we show their presentation? Sure.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Sure. I'm going to go ahead and step aside and come back for any procurement questions. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Randy, I have two here. Is it this one? Is there something different? It's this one? Okay. Okay. Okay, I
Well-
think you have the,
I'm going to take my mask off for this one.
oh, no.
A little more talking to do. Yeah, sure, thanks. So, great, I'm back again. I want to present this project. We're very proud of it. I want to, again, introduce Juan Ramiro Sanchez, our project architect, and a project administrator, Ed Quiroga, with JHS. So, we partnership on the project. So, this is, if we can go to the next slide. This project is actually we had a prototype that was actually built for Alexander High School. And so this is essentially that prototype, but it does have improvements and enhancements that have been learned through the experience of occupying the prior school, and some things that are reflective of the program there at United South High School. So the two main buildings are the Performing Arts Facility, which are band halls, music halls, and the new Ag Science Center, just as at Alexander, which has a welding shop, so you have vocational. With that, it's a little complex with the greenhouse, animal pens as part of the program. And you'll see that we have a new JRTC obstacle course. We had to actually, we actually had to move it, as you'll see. We had to move things out of the way because the site's pretty full, and there was only one place to put this complex of buildings. And so that created some complexities, but that's going to be a Marine Corps, U.S. Marine Corps grade obstacle course to current standards, which will be pretty amazing, I think, when it's done. And then there's a new drill pad for JRTC and driveways and parking, okay? Here's an overall site view, and if I have this done here, so.
sorry.
Go back. Yeah, just to show, here's our building site in the red. And so there's parking over here, there's some other structures and elements, but this is the obstacle course. All of this, we could build right here because the rest of the site was pretty full with playing fields, and you've got the big band pad for marching and the other playing fields. So this was the place to put a new building. But to do that, we had to move things out of the way. So if we can go to the next slide. So this gives you the overall sense of the project. The buildings that are in blue here, that's your performing arts. There's the ag science, and these are the animal pens in the greenhouse. So it's sited, we pushed it up to the bus loop, so there's a connection as close as possible to the existing school for students to cross. And there's a pathway all the way down here. This yellow areas are the obstacle course and the new drill pad, and we've created enhanced wider walks for for the band to go and access the marching pad down there. So we're covering a lot of area, but it's probably every bit of the space that we have left to build on, pretty much. Okay. So because of the complexity, you have to move things out of the way to start the new work. It's basically a two-phase project. You can see the first phase is relocation of the obstacle course to this location here. It's exactly the same size, has the same stations on it, but it's going to be up to current U.S. Marine Corps standards, which have some safety features that they didn't have in the past. And then your drill pad. Part of the thing we had to deal with, there is water that comes in off-site from the residential here and was sort of filtering across the site helter-skelter through some swales. So we've now controlled it to make our building pad here, and it goes to this new flue and discharges on Mexico Avenue. Okay. So the site improvements, we've got additional parking, so we're basically replacing the parking that we took away, so we're building new parking. We have the new sidewalk to the band pad, relocating the drill pad. So the drill pad was also, that they're using now was also where we're building the new site. So now it's closer to the JRTC building, so that's better for the students. The obstacle course is also closer to the JROTC, so it's like a little complex. And future facility expansion. So this has some more space and another bond. If you want to do some more expansion, you still can do it.
And those are improvements from the prototype or the improvements that are going on?
From the prototype? No, these are in addition to.
In addition
the
to,
straight
yeah.
prototype project, right? Which are where you're moving things out of the way. Okay, next, I guess. So to make this all work, we have our performing arts building. We created a loop around the building for access because you have to unload and unload for, if the band's going to go and play at a ball game or whatever. We have a turnout here where we have protected enclosure for the band trailer, which will be parked right there within the fence. Then you have a secondary loop that comes around, ties into that for the Ag Science building. This is sized to let trailers come in, so if you want to unload sheep or whatever for shearing, or you can do that, and the greenhouse is also accessible. But the pathway from the existing school for students is primarily along, we're going to have this delineated freeform kind of path that's just in the paving from here all the way down. And that's how that all flows together. So it'll be in a nice complex. Okay.
Looks really nice.
It flows very, very well. I think it does.
Now, we did, there's the other thing, it's not on these, but there was a lot of fall. So some of the expense is we wanted the school to be up where it's accessible to the existing school. So students can just basically come straight across and go in for accessibility. Okay? So the new performing arts building, the band hall is very similar to what's at Alexander. We do have some tweaks and improvements to it. These are all the same features, okay? If we go to the plan. So there's just real quickly, this is your main entry, so students will come across at this point. They'll travel. We do have a covered canopy, and there are, along here, we are including seating for students to hang out outside. So you enter here. This is a secondary entry, but really this is another place where you can unload instruments and things to go to an event. We'd have overhead doors here that let you unload directly into where the band storage trailer is. And the other spaces are very similar to what's over at Alexander. There is a mariachi program, so we do have one of the practice halls dedicated to that. So, okay. This is a view of the building. We wanted on this one, so it's the same volume structure. We're matching brick to the colors of the existing school. And because the existing school has these sort of interesting arches and an arcade that go along the front, we're bringing that element over into the main entry. And you can see here, now this is the side that faces the existing school. So students come across, they'll come here and then go in that main big corridor. And the fun thing that we're doing, we're delineating in brick the musical scale. And then we'll put the logo of the band program is going to be here for the cleft. That it'll be a great feature. We have something similar over at Alexander if you've all seen it. Okay?
And at Alexander, they have the obstacle course as well?
No.
No, they don't have that, right?
No.
What is that obstacle? Is it going to be grass or turf or?
So right now it's just, I don't think there's a lot of grass underneath it, but
Yeah.
it's basically dirt. But the latest, to build it, so the Marine Corps has recognized there have to be some safety standards.
Yeah.
And so in researching this, we're actually going to have a softball where we have, like the climbing ladders and such, where you have some height, that we're going to have actually softball areas underneath. So if kids fall, they're going to have something softer than ground to fall on.
Okay.
You'll see that. If you're looking at what it is now, it's going to look pretty amazing, I think, when it gets done.
They didn't have that in our day, but nope.
I know. So this is just another view of the front for the canopy and the seats and such. And you can see in the distance there, you just walk across and there's your access to the Ag Science. Okay. And this is the view in the main corridor. It's a little different from Alexander. We've put because of the arches at the existing school, we vaulted the ceiling down the corridor. And you can see these little patterns that are going on here. So what these are, it's going to be a replication of the notes of the school song, and we're going to put the pattern on the floor.
How cute.
That's cool.
Okay.
What'd that cost?
It's really nothing because it's the same, it's just a different color tile and it's all the same. So it's nice when you get something for nothing. Agriculture Science Center. So this is all the elements that you've got. We can just go to the plan, I think.
Okay.
And so you come in, you enter here. There's a ag classroom at this location. You have an ag welding shop, but there's also metalworking. It's not just welding. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have one additional welding station than they had at Alexander. We've also incorporated, there's power for welding, portable welders, welding units outside under the project, in this project area. Now, we didn't have that at Alexander. And ag classroom and an office here with glass, so instructors can be in their office and look both ways and surveil what's going on in the classrooms. So all of these are equipment that'll be provided by the district. We've located them, and the other thing we've done here is we have bigger project covered area than we had at the other school. All this is based on experience and such. Okay. Excuse me. So here you can see it's the same building essentially, except you got more canopy area. Is what you had there, and the colors are again replicating, kind of like the column. You have these pilasters and in the lighter colored brick, replicating what's happening in tying back to the main school. Okay. There's a view, so it's a very nice facility. This is a look at the greenhouse. So that's a packaged greenhouse. We designed the slabs and infrastructure and everything, and this is actually been brought in and erected on the site. So it's exactly the same as what's over at Alexander. And then the next same animal pen structures have water and power, et cetera, for use there. Okay. So this is just an explanation, a little breakdown of what you heard before, the base proposal amount that's on the table. This is a breakdown of the contingency as a standard item. Because of the nature, we actually have to move, one of the things we have to do is move the easement to a transformer for the site. We actually have to relocate the easement in the feed and a new transformer. So because of some questions about what's in the ground, we thought it prudent to do this. And we found that the water pressure was low out there, the city water. We're still investigating that to see if that was a temporary occurrence when we did our test. But we did feel like we had to add this amount because with the low pressure, you have to add a fire pump, you have to have a domestic water pump. So all those things start to cost money, then you have to have a room for it, got to have a tank. And so we're hoping that this number won't have to be utilized, but we're still investigating this. So all the allowances, the portions that are not used, return to the district. Okay. Is that one more?
Then project schedule.
Pardon? Oh,
The
schedule.
project.
Oh, schedule, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the phase, when we start the contract in February, the phase 1 starts, which is relocating. They have to, so everything stays in place, but they build the new parts, which is the obstacle course, and move the drill pad over, clear the site and get it ready. Then as we come in, that's going to take probably, you're looking at about 6 months or so, because it's basically just simpler site work. Then after that, we'll start phase 2, which is the real heavy lifting of the project. You can see the completion date in 2026. Typical renovation takes longer because you got to move things to do other things. And 876 calendar days is really like 30 months, approximately, to get to the finish line on it.
2.5 years.
Okay.
That was the last one.
Oh.
Randy, I have a question, if
yes,
I
sir.
may.
Yes.
Madam Chair. I know the CSP delivery method allows for, like time and scope modifications. I was reading in the letter from Mr. Alanis to Mr. Jackson that it's still pending a best and final offer. Is that still on the table, so that way if the board recommends approval?
That's a really good question. Actually, the amount that Randy showed did not include it, but the one that you have in your packet does include it. I did read 16,988,000, which includes a $5,000 deduction from the contractor.
Which was the reference to the best and final?
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
Thank you.
And only, right? It was the only one?
Yes, Lion Decker Construction of Texas was the only bidder.
How did that compare to did you all have an opinion of probable cost, Randy, at the beginning of the project?
We did develop an opinion, two things we developed. We did develop an opinion of probable cost. It's very close to the opinion that we developed. Actually, the one that we had was actually a little higher than the final bid number came in. It's very close, though. I mean, we feel fortunate that it kind of came that way. Also, the square foot costs are pretty much in line. We do have, because you do have all the added site costs we were talking about. It's beyond the normal. But if you look at the buildings, they fall in the range that you would expect in projects that are being built elsewhere, like in San Antonio.
What does that look like, the square footage? I'm curious.
The cost?
Yeah, the square footage price.
Oh, the square footage price, so we're about overall, including all the site work, it's about $670. But we're looking at 600, 650 in planning projects pretty much everywhere now of this nature.
We're seeing that at the county too, and that's one of the reasons I was asking, because I was thinking more 200, 300, but I guess those days.
Those days are gone. I mean,
Yeah.
those days are gone.
If I can, I just want to point out that a major part of that cost is site work. I believe if we have a breakdown, right, about $4 to $5 million, just
Yes.
site work.
Gotcha.
So it's not like a square
The
foot.
big check, I see.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, if you didn't have the excess cost of that, you would look at the number and go, well, that looks a little more
In line.
reasonable. But we're not doing another one exactly like this, but we are doing a performing arts building at Fox Tech in San Antonio. It does include an auditorium, so it's a bigger building, and it's at $870 a square foot.
Wow.
So it's crazy, that's what COVID did to us. And all this
Well, like you
supply
said, the
chain.
6 years ago at Alexander was probably
Oh, yeah.
a lot
Yeah,
less.
It ended
Yeah.
up being, we have the price there. It was a lot less.
Yeah.
So we looked at that carefully, and to justify, right, you start saying, okay, does this, and we even did some research, but I know it's a long night. We had Enrique pull out some information he had on cost inflation, on construction inflation. But I think we just knew that, especially with Randy working on some projects in the San Antonio area, just knowing what the square foot cost is, I mean, that's the best benchmark we have. That's what's going on throughout the state, really. So,
It's in what the expectations of the industry right now for projects like this. We have a national estimator. I know the market here is very unique, but he's given us numbers that are pretty much in line for this type of project with what we've got.
again, I think we're just fortunate that this is the last project. I mean,
For us to work.
thank God we started 10 years ago.
Instead of
So,
now.
yes, and the bulk of our program, was done early on. So the schools, the big schools,
Oh,
the
yeah.
100,000 square feet buildings that we made, so, yes.
Does
that's
the
what we're
committee have
fortunate.
any other questions?
No, I think,
What are the wishes of the committee? I'd like to entertain a motion if someone is ready.
you ready? I have a motion, Madam Chair. For the discussion and possible action to recommend it to the Board of Trustees approval for CSP 2022-2023 United South High School additions and renovations.
In the amount.
And the amount of?
And the amount
Oh, I'm
of.
sorry, in the
Okay.
amount of $16,988,000.
16 million.
Million.
I mean, sorry, $16,988,000,
Yes.
Which includes?
which includes a $1,105,000 in contingencies to Line Decker Construction of Texas Incorporated.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? No further discussion, then I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The discussion and possible action to recommend to the Board of Trustees approval to cost proposal to restore PE fields and related facilities and infrastructure at Clark Middle School.
We're going to recommend that this project, and looking at the cost, well, just to tell you what the project's about, where we're building the new Clark Elementary with construction that's going on at that site, we really need to redo the PE fields for Clark Middle. But just looking at the cost and again, getting with our finance area, we feel that can be done through our general fund. We don't need to come to the bond program for that. And so I think, Pete, I'm going to look to you, what was supposed to be the action or the item?
Yeah, based on the explanation by administration, the recommendation is that the board take no action on this item.
So we don't need any action.
So we need to vote, nothing?
You would take a vote to take no action.
Okay, that's what I was trying. Okay. So is there a motion? May I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion that we take no action on item B, which is possible discussion and action to recommend to the Board of Trustees the approval of the cost proposal to restore PE fields and related facilities and infrastructure at Clark Middle School.
Second?
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, motion carries. Under other business, under open agenda, if you allow me to take a moment of personal privilege, I'd like to thank the staff for their guidance through these past 10 years. It's really been a pleasure. I want to thank my fellow committee members for allowing me the privilege of being your chair all this time. I think we've done a really very good job. This is our last project. I would like, however, to have updates so we know when our projects close out. I know there'll be a project, the Aweta Road will be closing out in a few months, and as they close out, I would like updates. And I think the committee, the type of personalities we are, I think we'd like something when it's done to have a final closure, so know what we did, what we didn't do, what we did wrong, what we did right, hopefully mostly right. But I know that that'll be in the future, but I would like to put it out there that I think we would all like to have.
To have some updates.
Yeah, a wrap-up.
A wrap-up, especially the last two projects,
Right.
and then this one that we just,
Yeah.
are going to award,
Yeah. Yeah.
recommended for award.
Yes,
Okay.
and then see a final numbers.
Yes.
At the end, a couple of years down the road. But as things get closed, I would like to be, all of us to be
Yes.
kept abreast of what's going on and.
Yes, I'll be contacting you and tell you, look, this is where we are on this project, and see if it's, maybe we could have another meeting and
Just to be
contact
aware
you
of
all
what's going on.
via email again, so. I do appreciate y'all showing up tonight. I mean, it's been a year and a half since we last saw y'all, so, but just to know that staff has been working behind the scenes and trying to get all the projects that we promised our voters, to get them done,
Yes.
so.
Yeah, it's been a
Excellent.
good
Good
10
job.
years, and I've enjoyed working with you all.
Yep.
No, thank you.
Y'all been doing a good job, very
Thank
good
you.
job.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, no further action. Our meeting is adjourned. Thank you.